I had the thought that we're all processing a lot of grief. And again, this is before bread and butter grief, which is just that our parents are dying, our friends are dying, loved ones, people we know, and coworkers, and all sorts of things we're experiencing loss with, as well as the other things we talked about. So I talked to my friend Rachel and I said, let's try to hold a space, hold an online space, because I've got friends around the world who would appreciate this, and see what happens. Hello, I'm Tess Rafferty, and you're entering A World Gone Good.
Well, hello, my name's Steve, and this is the place where we shine the light on everyday people making good happen each and every day. Welcome to World Gone Good. So guess what? This past Sunday, I put up my very first ever show in the UK. Slideshow premiered here in London at the Etc. Theatre in Camden Town. How cool is that? It was a great start to my newest theater adventure, but don't worry if you missed it. There's a show coming up June 13th and another one on July 12th. And you can find out all about it just by going to our website, worldgonegoodpodcast.com, where there's a link and you can get tickets for just £10. It's a good time. Shockingly honest, says the LA Times. Come see Slideshow June 13th or July 12th. Now, our good guest today knows a little something about Slideshow because she performed in it with us just a few nights ago. Tess Rafferty fulfills the definition of creativity. She is a brand storyteller, a writer, an author, a producer, and yes, a creative director. So she, that's the definition of creativity, is being a creative director. She's also a fellow expat, friend of mine, living here in London. I invited Tess on to talk about creativity, theater, where good stories come from, and one of the topics that keeps circling around both of us for some reason, grief and grief management. How do you stand back up after being knocked down? Now, we went out and about, me and her, because we're here, right? So why should we do this remotely? We got to meet up in person, and we did so to record this very good conversation right off the River Thames. Here comes the oh-so-good Tess Rafferty, right from a coffee boat on the water. We are in London. We are in Little Venice. I am shaking.
What country are we in?
I know. Big one.
Yeah.
But tell everybody where we are.
We're in a boat that does not have free water or a bathroom.
Where is the boat moving?
The boat is not moving anywhere. It is stationary. It is in a section of London that I have not been to before today called Little Venice.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful, it's lovely to look at.
Okay, so let's start here. How do we know each other?
Jill Hotchkiss.
That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
Jill was actually on the show with Wendy Miller, but you don't know when. Do you know of Wendy Miller? You know Wendy Miller because she's blocks from where you live in the Oaks.
I know I've met Wendy Miller, and she knows she's met me. We have a lot of mutual friends in common who are very good friends with both of us.
Right.
So I feel like I know Wendy Miller, but I really don't.
Yeah. Well, she has been on this show so many times I've lost count, but she and Jill came on to do Buy Anything.
I remember when they were talking about doing a podcast about their local Buy Anything group. Buy nothing.
Buy
anything.
Buy nothing.
If you'll buy anything, you'll buy nothing.
Everything. So you and I have a couple things in common. We both are, well, what do we call ourselves? Temporary expats? What do we consider ourselves?
Well, who's to say if it's temporary or not? We don't know. It could be forever. Right? Life's uncertain. I would say that expats fits the bill. We are recent transplants to London from Los Angeles or the Southern California area. We both worked in entertainment for a very long time.
Too long.
Yes, as it would turn out, too long and not long enough. and we both write mysteries. We both write
True.
murder mysteries.
Yes. And we both have a love of theater.
Yes.
Well, love like, I never like to say hate. Love
I don't hate theater.
discerning taste.
Yeah. I sometimes not everything's for me, but everybody should be able to say that.
Yeah, but we both keep trying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've gone to a few things together. What is the best thing you've seen in London so far? What's been your favorite thing, show-wise?
Probably Operation Mincemeat or Oh Mary.
Yes.
Yeah. Those two are right up there for me.
I loved O'Mary.
Yeah.
I have to say, I laughed with O'Mary, and this is good because so many people oversell things. But I went in there purposely not reading a lot about it, knowing it's about Mary Todd Lincoln, not getting the full story. It is 80 minutes. I laughed for 78 minutes to the point when Jim and I left to go to dinner. I was physically exhausted. Like I had a really good ab workout, better than Pilates. So good.
That was the slogan they were going to go with originally. It's better than Pilates. I want to say something, and it's going to sound very cynical, but one of the reasons I loved Oh Mary was exactly the runtime.
Yes.
Because I find that the problem with the 2-act play structure these days is it's always 20 minutes too long.
Yes.
They always put one song in there that doesn't need to be in there.
One.
I get very anxious during intermission.
Yes.
Because if I'm not enjoying it,
I hate intermission.
yes, I'm like, oh God. And then I'm worried about getting to the bathroom, with women, that's an issue. And then the ins and outs of, as you know, because I always put us, when I pick the seats, I always put us on the end.
Smart girl.
But then we're constantly getting up for everybody else who has to come into the middle. So it gives the 2.5 hour play doesn't, I don't enjoy it. And I know part of that is because we're in an age where we don't have an attention span anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
when we are enjoying it, then we do have the attention span because we went to see The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
And my issue with The Devil Wears Prada, and I don't want to keep anybody from seeing it because I fucking love Vanessa Williams. My issue with The Devil Wears Prada is that every character had the Poor Me song, "You've Got to Understand Me, This Is Where I'm Coming From" song. And my feeling is that only the protagonist should have that. And I don't like when a villain has it. And Vanessa had it. I was like, wait, what? And then the guy who's playing Stanley Tucci's part had it. I was like, what? Is the audience getting one at one point? Because what's happening? The Devil Wears Prada was interesting too, because like the first act, I was so like, is this necessary? Until the final scene when it became a completely different show. And then I loved Act 2.
Yeah.
I loved Act 2. And I was like, again, this is an example of like, just make it a long one act. But the show we went together that you took us to, because we've been going to see things, was it called The Virgins?
Yes.
Not The Virgins, The Virgins.
Yes, with a G. Yes.
That show was highly enjoyable for about 47 minutes and then became a completely other show.
Yes.
That you and I both walked out of there. And I think we both agreed of like, again, I don't want to, because certainly people can come see my shit and go, look who's talking. But what do you remember we walked out of that and we're like, what happened at 48 minutes?
Yeah.
Why did we make that turn?
It went from a lighthearted, I thought, slice of life about teenagers in various states of being virgins wanting to hook up and have sex to this really cynical, dark commentary on kids and sex and their viewpoint, young adults and sex and their viewpoints and where they come from. And I didn't feel that the first part of the play earned that.
Yes, and I felt exactly the same because I felt like the first part spoke to that enough, but I felt like the next 25 minutes felt like, and now I'm an adult and I'm going to tell you how kids speak. Yeah. And I was like, wait, what? Like it was very after school special or The More You Know with the big sparkly star.
Yeah, and I thought it was, we really kind of like these characters, and there's two characters who you want to see hook up, and it's almost a quirky romantic comedy in a sense. And then when they do hook up, it's with this cynicism of now they're just sort of play acting at having sex and
it was
doing what they did. It was really graphic.
And they knew way more for virgins than I knew. Like at that age, I was like, wow, they're both very okay. They're very well versed. Again, that kind of thing. Okay, so why are we talking about this?
Why are we talking about plays we don't? Yes.
That we don't. Let's talk about those we like.
And to be fair, I went to see Pina Bausch, the dance troupe or the movement troupe, and at Sadler's Wells, and that was 2 acts. And I was like, Tess, this is experimental dance theater for 2 acts. And you know what? Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved all of it. Yeah. Line for the bathrooms was manageable. I was excited to go back for Act 2. It was mesmerizing. So
we saw Minnie Driver in, I'm always saying it wrong, A Million Little Things.
It's something like
Brilliant Little Things. Okay, I'm so sorry to
It's not everything everywhere all at once.
It's not that. It is a brilliantly written, smart script. It does something that no other show. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but go see it if you can. Somebody big is taking over in Broadway. I can't remember who it is, but somebody we read the other day. But anyway, Minnie killed it. And there was one moment, because the audience participates, where you're told in advance if you're going to participate. Okay?
And yeah, and Daniel Radcliffe's doing it because somebody said I got married to Daniel Radcliffe last night.
That's part of it, yeah, because there's a marriage and everything. But there's a really funny part because in our audience, somebody who was clearly, it was their turn to participate, someone else started participating, and Minnie was like, wait, hold on. And she took herself out of the play as Minnie Driver, and she's just like, hang on. And she goes, because it's cards that they hand you. And she's like, who has which card? And the one woman holds up her card, and this other woman in the balcony goes, she just yells out, I don't have a card. And the audience, we all start applauding because Minnie just stops and she's laughing sort of, and she just yells up. She goes, ma'am, bless you. She goes, we're not all just yelling out. We're not just calling. And it was so beautiful that someone felt that safe in an audience to participate in a show where I'm like, clearly this isn't like, I mean, Minnie, you're talented, but you're not ready for anybody to yell any fucking thing out. There's got to be some sort of structure here. So, yeah, but it was really, that was an amazing, I laughed, I cried. She sang, Minnie can sing, to her credit. Very good stuff.
Do you think that's a factor of everybody gets an opinion in the internet age, and so it wouldn't occur to someone not to shout out?
Yeah, but I think that
like even in the theater, that people don't know, like this isn't a shout out what you think situation.
That's where you always have to be so careful, whether you're writing or you're producing or you're going to see a show that breaks the third and fourth wall and eighth wall, how many walls you want to be.
Yeah.
Like what are the rules and what is expected? Because look, I'm a fairly boisterous, extroverted person, but I'm like, I don't want to be part of your it's your show. Like, you do your show. Like, it's very interesting. Okay, so speaking of shows,
yes,
by the time this airs, it will be the Wednesday after my very first production in London, not on a boat, at the Etc. Theater Slideshow, which we're bringing here to London, and you are coming to do the very first show.
Yes.
So I have a couple questions for you about that.
Okay.
One, and this goes into our say yes of 2026. Why did you say yes to this when I asked you to do it?
Well, I love the format. I love doing what I call essay shows, and I might have the format wrong slightly, but I did stand up. I started with a theater background. Then I started getting into stand-up because I didn't like the parts for women in theater, and I didn't like having to constantly rely on other people in order to be able to perform.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the idea of when I did stand-up, it was just me. It was just me going wherever. And what I started doing in LA after a while, I started doing what we called essay shows, where you would write a story. You didn't really have to be off book for it. I'm a natural performer, so I can perform something with a script in my hand, but I didn't have to feel like it was, I could kind of do it while I was working other jobs and things. And,
right.
It didn't have the onus of, and now you have to memorize a 10-minute thing for Friday night. An act. Yeah. I liked it because unlike stand-up, the audiences were generally better than stand-up shows in Los Angeles. They were more receptive, better crowds, bigger crowds. And I could still make people laugh very hard, but I could also tell a story I wanted to tell, and I could make a point. And
you didn't have that pressure starting up. You didn't have that pressure of like, you got to have, I did stand up too.
Yeah.
You got to do at least 3 jokes in the first 10 seconds. Bullshit. You know what I mean? Otherwise you're failed. You can take people on a journey. You can make people feel something.
Yeah. I really like the shows I did where we had themes, because even if there was a loose theme, like one word, it just gives you a place to go, and it gives you a place to think about, what does this word mean to me? And what's, what would I tell about it? Where's that go? So I really like the format. I know you're a good producer. Again, we're in a say. I would have. This is something even in my say no phase, I would have said yes to.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I would have because I trust that this is going to be a good experience and it's something I'm going to enjoy doing. It's a reason to write something and work on it. And
Do you have an idea in your head of what you want to tell? Because the thing about Slideshow for anybody listening, at the Etc. Theater on May 3rd, June 12th, and July 13th. I'm getting those dates wrong. I think it's June 13th and July 12th. I've already screwed it up. The thing about Slideshow is we have the proof of the images. So in developing the story, do you have the concept of the images you want to put up? Are you going to put up real life images? You're going to put up images you find on the internet?
I don't know yet. What I think I will have done, this is really weird because it's kind of like time traveling.
You are amazing.
I have to predict what I think is going to happen in the future and talk about it like it's in the past. This is very multiverse.
The boat starts spinning.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to write about my friend Danica, who died very suddenly in November, because you and I have been talking about doing funny stories around grief and the funny things that are in there. And I've been having this sort of ongoing dialogue with her since she did die as I walk around London, just literally talking to her because I'm a big fan of gallows humor. So everything that I think is funny, I picture myself telling her and hearing her laugh because she was the most generous laugher. She was just gave of her laugh freely and was so supportive and laughing at what I said and what other people said. And so I know that if I was like, nobody would love the jokes I'm making about it more than her. And it's criminal that she's the one person I can't hear laugh about the joke. I can't actually hear.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's crazy. This is the thing, right? Like comedy is grief times time, right? Isn't that what they say?
Tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Close enough, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, that
Yes.
is true. And I just found out that my dear friend Dee Freeman lost her battle to cancer last night.
Oh no.
And it's one of those situations that by the time this airs, hopefully her family will put out something, but nothing's been said online. And a couple of friends have traded some texts and stuff. And a whole bunch of people want to post things because we have to share everything all the time. Dee was a force of nature, and it just one of those things. She got really bad cancer. It took her very quickly, but I also think that she didn't tell us all and the world in general until it was to the point of no return, which was her right to do. You know, that's totally understandable. So I think about it, but I think that there is a commonality and a coming together when it comes to using something important to us. You know, and in a way, moving here for both of us, kind of a loss too, in some ways, leaving the United States.
Oh, there's nothing.
This is the part. Sorry, this is like the show, The Virgins. This is the part where the listener's like, why'd they make this turn?
Yeah.
Next podcast.
Yeah. They didn't earn this. They there's been nothing but grief. I'm fascinated with it as a topic, and it's why I've been talking to my friend Rachel Fowler, who's become a grief coach in recent years, about a lot about this, and why we kind of do these online salons about it is because grief is a very broad feeling. It's not just losing people, it's loss of jobs, loss of dreams, loss of the future you thought you were going to have, loss of the government you thought you were going to have.
The life, the lifestyle, the things that you thought were in place that aren't, and that are proving to be this easy to be taken away from you.
Yeah. In things that maybe you're going to something that you also want or that is better, but something is still ending, and that is still a door shutting. There's still loss in a lot of places in a lot of different ways, and we're not acknowledging a lot of it as such. And I think we're walking around with a tremendous amount of trauma in our brains. And that's before you get to our interpersonal losses or our interpersonal trauma. I'm just being right now I'm just talking about as a country and a culture.
And a world.
Yeah. And a world. For us in the entertainment industry, there's obviously been a lot of upheaval there the last several years. And so I think that like we're all processing, or not processing is the problem, a lot of grief and trauma right now. So I do think there's something really universal in that. And that's why we do share things that is why social media is wonderful, because it does give us a place to try to process our grief collectively.
It's interesting.
And I'm a writer, so I process everything through writing. That's just how I do it. Other people, maybe there's something else, but
A lot of other people don't process anything, and then it just gets built up and it turns into dark things, and or it turns into bad habits or bad decision making, or I don't want to say bad, but questionable decision making. But it is a very interesting thing. In terms of Slideshow, what always made Slideshow work and will make Slideshow work here is that when I show people just the image that we had this old image is similar that we're using on the poster. I couldn't find it. I looked all. I found something out, you guys. Like, apparently, your email goes back only 10 years. Yeah. So my email, Yahoo, and I do still have an AOL account. That's my spam account. And when I meet people who I don't want to do business with, I'm like, I'm at AOL. So, but it only goes back 10 years. So I couldn't find the original image anymore. And I was looking online for it and stuff. So I found this other image, but I chose a very 1950s, 1960s black and white. Dad's, got a pipe and he's wearing a tie, and mom's behind her, and she's got the white gloves on, and she's all made up, and she's been a housewife all day, but she looks amazing. And the little girl's sitting there with a bow in her hair, and they look like the happiest motherfuckers you've ever met in your life, because that's the good old days. That's the nostalgia of it. And I really loved when we did in LA, because at the Fake Gallery, we used a real slide projector with real slides.
Yeah.
And I found this company, this mom and pop shop, and they let all my participants, my guests, my performers get slides made. There's $15 for up to 15 slides.
Oh, wow.
This is great. Here in London, it's been a few years since I've made some slides. They're roughly £4 a piece, which is about almost $6 each. And if you make 15, everybody, that's $90. But the point being that I was trying to make is that community.
Yeah.
And that's what was always amazing about Slideshow, is that people. There's one slide which I'm going to show at the first one. It's my mom, and what reaction I always get is our first house that we grew up in, and my mom's in the kitchen, and there are these ridiculous 70s flowered wallpaper behind her.
Oh,
I
sure.
can't wait for you to see it, because you'll howl laughing. But the best was when I'd be in LA and someone would go right out loud in the audience, 70 people. I'd be talking, storytelling, and someone would see the picture and just in the middle yell out, "Oh my God, we had that!" And I go, and I didn't know which part of the shot.
Yeah.
But it was always the wallpaper. It was always the shag carpet. It was always that one armchair that brings us all back to this nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
So that's like an interesting thing. Do you feel like, I know your friend hasn't been gone a long time. Are you at a point where you're thinking about the nostalgia aspect, the good old days? Is that how you're talking to her? Or are you still going through the grief of making sense out of it?
I mean, nostalgia, and for her and I don't know if there's anything of a cultural nostalgia. So her and I have been friends since college. So I do have
66 years.
yes.
Okay.
There's we marched in Selma together. So
we were with the suffragettes,
yeah.
and we were able to get to vote, which is very, very good. Important. Go ahead.
The Democratic National Convention in Chicago. We were there with the Weather Underground. So it's funny because the pictures I have going back to college, I don't know which ones I actually have, because they were not on digital cameras.
Right.
I have gotten a bunch of them digitized, but because of the way I got them digitized, they're not even on my computer here. They're on a hard drive back in Los Angeles still. So past tests is going to tell you that the piece isn't written yet. So it'll be an adventure to see which pictures I even end up using. So we'll see.
Let's talk about the grief project that you've started. It's an online Zoom. It's an online get together.
Back during the pandemic, the lockdown, I started this thing called A Fun Conversation About Trauma. And so, and these things kind of come from me being curious about different topics. So I was really curious about what that situation was doing to all of our brains.
Yeah.
Because suddenly we were literally confronted with something that had seemed completely implausible. I mean, if you remember, like 1 week we were like, people were like, we're going to have to all shut down for 2 weeks. And we're like, surely no one's going, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
was a
then
switch. It was like, it wasn't even like a let's slowly go in the water. We were thrown into the water.
it went from like the unmanageable that everyone was just going to not go out.
Yeah.
Somehow the world was going to shut down, to like understanding why that was necessary and then doing it. And that it was so unprecedented in a decade of unprecedented things happening. It was just a big one. And then suddenly a lot of people are living alone. They're not interacting with a lot of people. Everything's on Zoom. It was good for some people in certain ways, bad for people in other ways. And so I was really concerned with what was going on in our brains. And so what I would do is I would hold these talks, and I did it through this program called StreamYard, which would broadcast via Twitter and Facebook. So people could watch it live. They could type in questions if they wanted. I did probably about 4 of them or so. And I had different friends who were mental health professionals, all kind of with a different concentration. And so the idea was that we were just going to do it and kind of have a conversation. And they were going to offer, either answer some questions, offer their specific perspective about what people might be going through or how to reach out to other people who were going through rough times. I'm fascinated by creating those types of communities.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fascinated by this. I don't know a lot about it. I'm not an expert. So once again, for all the reasons we're talking about, I had the thought that we're all processing a lot of grief. And again, this is before bread and butter grief, which is just that our parents are dying, our friends are dying, loved ones, people we know, and coworkers, and all sorts of things we're experiencing loss with, as well as the other things we talked about. So I talked to my friend Rachel and I said, let's try to hold an online space, because I've got friends around the world who would appreciate this, and see what happens. And so we benefit largely from Rachel's skill and kind of just create this online little meeting. And the first one was a really lovely experience. So we're doing another one this weekend. Or I should say, we did another one back in April.
April, so long ago. It's so interesting you talk about this, because I still struggle with, I'm not the same person I was before the pandemic, before the lockdown. I have a protective coating, if you will, around my thought process. I don't want to say I'm not as sharp, I'm not as fast, but I feel it in my head. Like, and another thing for me is that I get peopled out pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Like I was the life of the fucking party. Like, believe
Yeah.
me. And I turned 50 on January 24th, 2020.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I was still go, let's do this, let's do that. And I have this weird like hesitation about things. And there's times like when I'm in big crowds of people where I'm like, I have to get out of here. There's too many people. This is a weird thing. I don't know if anybody else noticed. You can say yes or no to this. Maybe I'll edit this out. Sometimes Jim and I, right after the lockdown, we'd be watching an old movie and there'd be all these characters in a room. And I'd be like, they shouldn't all be together like that. Cause I still was in that mindset.
Yeah.
Which sounded crazy because the movie was from, it's all about Eve. It's 40, 50 years ago, but my brain was still doing that thing.
Can I tell you, this is similar. We had 3 cats, and it was a big deal about not leaving any of our doors open because we were in Los Angeles. We had coyotes. We didn't want the cats to get out. So it's been 19 years of every time someone leaves the door open, and someone comes to your house, we don't leave the door open. With guests, we don't leave the door open. To this day, I can't watch people leave the door open on a TV or a show or a movie without having that instinct.
Yeah.
Why are they shutting? Oh, okay, yeah, no, shut the door. Oh, no, that's not happening in real life. Yeah. So I'm not surprised at all. I had the same thing. I totally experienced that during the lockdown. People are standing too close together. Why aren't they wearing a mask?
It's like a weird traumatic thing. Like even recently, like Jim and I have been trying to get into some new shows on Netflix. Let's try this show. Let's try that show. And what keeps happening is like, this is too involved. This is stressing me out. This should be entertaining me. And we've gone back to watching Charlie's Angels, Heart to Heart, The Bionic Woman, because it's light, it's fluffy. I know there's going to be a resolution at the end.
Yeah.
And it's all going to work out, whatever, and we're all going to be fine. And so I think there is this whole, certainly for us, we lost 3 dogs last year.
Yeah.
Right in a row. And kicked our asses and still processing them. And it's so strange that 2 of them, it's over a year now that 2 of them are gone. And I still am grieving over that. I still feel that
giant loss of these just loving, sweet beings. And it's just going to take time and living and knowing that we will get through this. And maybe it'll be better. Maybe it won't be better. Maybe it'll be different. I don't know.
Well, I think with the pets, one of the things about it for me, because we had 5 losses last year, and one of them was one of our beloved cats. And we're coming up on the year anniversary, and part of it for me is the trauma of watching the animal suffering, because it happens so quickly. And then you're on that knife's edge of, is now the time to do the right thing or not? And then it becomes apparent, now is the time to do the right thing, and that's traumatic in and of itself. And then that moment, whatever time is between knowing that's the just call to make and when you're actually able to make it, the vet gets there, you take the your pet in, whatever it is, that's excruciating. Like, there's nothing but trauma associated with that. So it's not even just the loss, which is also terrible, but the trauma leading up to it.
Yeah, and as somebody like who, as you know, we've talked about this already, like going through it, like I totally like anytime anybody like you starts talking about it, I'm like, yep, because we experienced it 3 very different ways for clean dogs. The craziest thing was our healthiest dog was Haley, the unstoppable Haley, who was a lab shepherd husky. Nothing wrong with her. It was the other 2 jackasses who were on a million medications. And one of them was having like dementia. And then we woke up one morning and Haley was acting weird. And I'm like, well, she's acting weird. And she was acting really weird. And I'm like, okay, she's a husky. She's always weird. But so I got to take her to the vet. So I take her to the vet and the vet calls and it's just like, so Haley has a tumor on her spleen, I believe, and it's ruptured. And she has other tumors in her liver and she has spots in her lungs. And we found something on her heart and her stomach, the area around the heart is filled with fluid. And then the vet says to me, so we need to talk about long-term care and what's best. And this wasn't our vet. Our vet was in surgery that day. This was the other vet who was lovely. I interrupt her and I go, I'm like a crazy person. I go this, oh, no, we don't have to talk about long-term care. We need to let her go.
Yeah.
And she goes, thank you, Steve. Oh. And I was like, oh my God, no, thank you. No, and then she said, would you like to come get her? And I said, do you think we should, like, I had to lift a 90-pound dog into the car. Should I be selfish and take her home? And she said, it's really up to you. And I said, what would you do? And she's like, I can't answer that. I go, okay, so you just told me what the answer is. So then she was funny because I said, I'm not Shirley MacLaine here. I'm not going to give my daughter those drugs in terms of adherence. And I just said, she goes, would it be okay with you if I make her comfortable? And I said, I want you to make her fucking fly. And it was like 3:00. Jim and I got there at 5:15. They brought Haley and Haley came in with this giant smile, was kissing us and making all these sounds. I'm looking around and I kept saying to Jim, I'm like, it's like the Yellow Submarine with the Beatles. She's seeing things floating by.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about that, it was like, it happened so fast.
Yeah.
The other 2, I had time to process. And so this was a really long, boring way for me to get there. What do you think about process? What helps you in your process?
Processing loss or processing
grief?
Yeah. I think that I'm a very decisive person. I don't do well when I don't know what decision to make. So I'm fortunate in that a lot of things in my life, I think, are very, I'm presented with 2 choices and I'm usually very clear cut about what to do.
Sure.
So that certainly helps. Like, we had an animal we lost really suddenly. Like, it's a similar situation to yours. Like, one morning she just wasn't walking right and 2 days later we were letting go. And that was sort of being blindsided and it was excruciating. But at the same time, once you know that, like, this is the right thing to do, like, once you see, like, this isn't good for this is horrible for them, that helps.
But for your friend, I mean, like, how are you?
Sorry, and I don't mean to make it all about animals.
No, it's fine. No, this is the great thing about animals is like every person can relate. And the great thing about animals, and everyone knows this listening, is unlike humans, even our bestest of friends, even our closest of relatives, even our spouses, there are conditions. And with animals, it is 100% unconditional. They love you skinny, fat, bald, hairy, blonde, brown hair, they don't fucking care. They just want to be with you. And you can yell at them and 5 minutes later, they still love you.
You know, if you lose a person, hopefully you had, you know, if they were ill, they knew what was coming. They were able to make their own choices and decisions. If it was sudden, you've had conversations with them over the years that makes you feel like they were prepared, or they lived the life they wanted to, whatever. There's something about an animal that is rough for me because I don't know what they can understand.
Right.
I don't know what their process is, and there's something about that unknown that I feel a lot of sympathy for, and that's something to probably look at in therapy. But you know, with my friend, every day is hard, and you never, and sometimes it still feels crazy that she's not there, and it probably will for the rest of my life. And it helps to be able to laugh about her and know that she would find it funny, because she loved when you could make jokes about her, because not make fun of her, but when you would make a joke about her, because it meant that you knew her. It connoted intimacy to her.
Yep.
Like, you know me well enough that you know how I would react in that situation, and you know me well enough to joke about it. And so I think that helps. And, you know, trying to honor people in certain ways. One thing I did was, so she had acted for years, and then she became a librarian.
Which is the most logical thing that happens.
And if you knew her too, she was the only one not surprised. She was the only one surprised when somebody said, like, she took some sort of test, and they're like, you really should be a librarian or something, because she was one of those people. I mean, speaking about decisiveness or not decisiveness, if she needed a new monitor, she was going to do all the research on what kind of monitor. She was going to read all the specs, like all the reviews. She was going to buy one and probably carry it around in her trunk for 6 months and then take it back because, you know, whatever. She got really into the research of, well, what kind of monitor and what's the best value and what's the best product and stuff. Whereas I'd just be like, I just need a monitor here tomorrow. I don't care. So she became a librarian, and recently I was at the National Archives here, and they had this exhibit on love letters. And it wasn't just love letters between people, romantic love, but just different things. It was a beautifully curated exhibit, as all their things are, because they have the most amazing archives. It's the Magna Carta's there, you know? So it's just different types of love letters and things. And then there's always like an interactive thing, like write a love letter. So I wrote a letter to her, and you're allowed to leave it there. They have this thing where you're allowed to put your letter up, and there's a little box like, can we use excerpts of this or put it in, you know, in our archives or online. And I just thought, how great that she's going to live at this letter to her is going to live at the National Archives and be somehow part of their collection, whether it's just in a box somewhere, or maybe it'll get excerpted online at some point for something else, who knows. But as a librarian, she would love that. As an actress, she would love that, because, like, you know, look at her in this big, fancy, important place. So it's trying to honor her, and that helps. And when you lose somebody, it's kind of an everyday thing, and you don't know when it's going to be the days where it's going to be hard, and you're going to miss them, and just wish they're the perfect person to talk to about this, and they're not here. I do think whenever I have good luck over here, she was so excited about me being here. So I'm an atheist. I really don't believe in this, but whenever I have a little bit of good luck, I feel like that's her.
We close the show with 3 questions. Don't panic. You know the answers. First one's the easiest. Where do people find you, and how do people get more information about your grieving salon?
That's a good question, because right now we're just kind of friends and familying it, because it is sort of it's a personal thing, personal process. So we're not really opening it up to the world at large. But the best way people can find me, I guess, is just to find me on Instagram, the Tess Rafferty, or they can find me on Amazon too.
Second last question is really easy, if you want it to be.
Yeah.
Question is this: who inspires you?
Oh gosh. One of the things I find really inspiring right now is, okay, first of all, Hillary Clinton always inspires me.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Hillary Clinton.
She was right about everything.
She was right about everything. She gets out of bed every day, no matter what.
Yeah, I was right.
Yeah. No, but also no matter like what anybody's trying to say about her, it's never beaten her. She gets out anyway and goes, I'm just going to do the best I can. the most good I can for people, for women, for marginalized voices, for democracy. But also just when you lose people suddenly or not suddenly, it just makes you go, we're all not here that much longer. We have to, you know, if you want to do something, now's the time to do it. Yeah. And that's a really inspiring thing. There's no time to put anything off these days.
And the final question is not a question. It is a statement to finish. Goes like this. Tell me something good.
I've recently got involved with the Strand on the Green Association near my flat, and it's just a nice group of people, and we go out there and weed the flower beds and make sure they look attractive for people walking along the Thames, and we clean up the trash and just taking care of our little corner of the world, which is always lovely.
Thank you, Tess, for sharing your good with us. Next time on World Gone Good.
One thing that we often run up against is people like, oh yeah, small acts of kindness. And we're like, no. There's no such thing as a small act of kindness. It's a simple act. Whether I'm speaking in front of 500 people or we're interacting with thousands of kids at a festival, we kind of just put out there, like, every single action has a reaction to it. You can make it positive.
Josh and Carly Berg suffered the deepest loss anyone can endure, the loss of a child. At 6 years old, their daughter Ellie passed away in a freak accident simply playing in their backyard. Like our guest Tess spoke about in this very episode, grief and loss, they are never easy. But it is how we move through it and what we do with it. That's where the good can hopefully be found. And that's why Josh and Carly founded the Be Like Ellie Foundation, where the message is simple. Spread love, be kind, play music. It's pretty much what their daughter loved to do. I hope you'll join me for a incredibly inspiring and a bit emotional conversation with Josh on our next all-new episode. Believe me when I say you will be glad you did. Until then, be good.